The President. His Excellency the President chaired an emergency session of the Cabinet meeting this morning. The session of Cabinet was convened, as you're all aware, when he spoke on Saturday, to assess the impact of extreme weather as manifested in the above normal rainfall and short rains classified by the Meteorological Department as the El Nino phenomenon. It has resulted from the El Nino. Of course, what has happened is that we have seen widespread flooding that has regrettably led to the loss of lives, displacement of families, disease outbreaks, destruction of infrastructure and property, as well as prolonged power outages across Kenya and many parts of the Eastern Africa region. Cabinet, first and foremost, condoled with the bereaved families and all persons adversely affected by the devastating effects of this weather phenomenon. Consequently, Cabinet has sanctioned various policy and administrative interventions to augment the ongoing state mitigation and response being implemented by the national and county governments. The additional policy and administrative interventions sanctioned by Cabinet this morning will enhance our national resilience and preparedness for future weather and climate-driven disasters, as well as better empower the state to prevent further loss of lives, destruction of property, and interruptions to our way of life arising from the El Nino situation. Now, as part of the preliminary assessment of the severity of the situation across the country, the meeting noted that 38 out of our nation's 47 counties are within the alarm stage, a stage characterized by flash floods, general flooding in low-lying plains, rivers busting their banks, landslides and mudslides, loss of livestock and destruction of farmland and infrastructure. Cabinet noted with regret that we have lost 76 Kenyans to El Nino, while 35,000 households have been displaced. The most severely affected areas are in the northeastern, eastern and coast regions specifically, but of course there are more counties. As we're talking about 38, I'll just list them for you. In northeastern, the affected counties are Mandera, Wajir and Garissa. So that's the entire northeastern region. Coast also, the entire region, Kilifi, Mombasa, Tana River, Taita, Taveta, Kwale, and Lamu. In central, Murang'a, Nyeri, Kiambu, and Kirinyaga. In eastern, Isiolo, Kitui, Machakos, Makueni, Marsabit, Meru, and Tharaka Nithi counties. In Nyanza, the entire region as well, Homa Bay, Kisumu, Migori, and Kisii. Western, Bungoma, Busia, and Kakamega counties. Rift Valley, the counties include Baringo, Bomet, Kajiado, Kericho, Nandi, Narok, Turkana, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, and West Pokot, and of course, in Nairobi. In that regard, Cabinet noted that the state had allocated 7 billion shillings, with which it is implementing various programs to address the plight of Kenyans across the country. The funds were appropriated by Parliament and the Contingencies Fund as part of the 2023-2024 financial year budget and supplementary appropriations number 1 of the same financial year. The resources committed will be applied for humanitarian response, including distribution and supply of medical commodities, food and non-food items, rehabilitation of infrastructure, and resettlement of displaced families. The state's intervention is being undertaken in a joint effort between the national and county governments, and which incorporates the Kenya Defence Forces and the National Youth Service in operation with the Kenya Red Cross Society. Through aircraft made available by the Kenya Defence Forces, medical supplies have been airlifted to the most vulnerable counties. I'll go to some specific measures that the government has already taken since the President spoke on Saturday to support farmers who have been adversely affected. The government has disbursed 500 million shillings to the new KCC to mop up excess milk during this rainy season. The government has also airlifted medical supplies worth 180 million shillings through the KDF and in conjunction with the Wajir County government to Wajir County. Infrastructure restoration is being implemented following damage caused by rains. The works on the following roads and bridges have been repaired. 1, Bogolo Bridge on the Mtwapa Malindi Road has been repaired. Jilango Center on the Nuno Modogashi Road has been repaired. Madade Center on the Wajir Mandera Road has been repaired. Ohio Center on the Nuno Modogashi Road has also been repaired. Garbakole in Mandera, they call it end of the tarmac there, has been repaired. And the Garissa airstrip has also been repaired and commercial flights will resume tomorrow. And of course, it will really go a long way in coordinating relief efforts. Ongoing works to be completed by tomorrow, Tuesday 28th, include repairs at Maalim Tokbub on the Nuno Modugashi Road and Kotulo, Mandera on the Wajir Mandera Road. The works in progress include Tula on the Thika Garissa Road, Arer on the Thika Garissa Road also, and Moyale to Ramu Road in Mandera through Bute in Wajir. To fortify the national response, the Cabinet sanctioned the following additional interventions. One, scaling up the scope of humanitarian assistance to reach more than 50,000 households, especially in the arid and semi-arid counties. The Cabinet also observed that to support county governments in addressing the disaster situations in their respective areas, the National Treasury last week disbursed 10 billion shillings of their shareable revenue. Cabinet also directed the National Treasury to release an additional 10 billion shillings to county governments this week, again, part of their shareable revenue. And of course, the government is encouraging the counties, as much as it's part of the shareable revenue, government is encouraging counties to try and reallocate some of these funds to the dire situation now occasioned by these floods. The government also directed the enhanced deployment of the KDF and all public civilian aircraft to transport medical supplies, food and non-food items for targeted distribution as recommended. It also sanctioned a proposal to be sent to Parliament for the replenishment of the contingencies fund and the rationalization of the budget and supplementary appropriations too of the current financial year. Cabinet also directed the National Treasury to further rationalize the current budget and direct ministries, departments and agencies, that is MDAs, to commence reallocation of funds in their budgets to support the emergency response being undertaken by the state. Scaling up of rapid response to rehabilitate dilapidated road networks and facilitate delivery of humanitarian assistance to the affected populations will also be done. And Cabinet also sanctioned the distribution of over 150,000 mosquito nets to the affected counties. That is already happening. Cabinet also directed the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, in consultation with all agencies within the sector, to give priority to maximum production, uptake and distribution of hydro-generated power. It further directed the Ministry of Energy to pass the benefit of lower electricity tariffs to the public in a manner that promotes the increased use of hydro-generated power, which has presently increased to 20%, while diesel has gone down from 15 to 10%. Cabinet also committed the coordination of all state efforts to the National Disaster Operations Center, which will coordinate all relief activities by activating the whole-of-government approach, thus ensuring efficient deployment of resources and enhanced communication among relevant government agencies and humanitarian organizations. An ad hoc cabinet committee was also established on disaster response under the leadership of His Excellency the Deputy President to coordinate the state response. Through the National Disaster Operations Center, the government will continue to provide regular updates on the progress of our relief efforts, and the center shall work closely with the media in disseminating accurate and timely information to the public. The emergency session of Cabinet today, or the special session of Cabinet, concluded by reassuring all Kenyans that the government is doing everything within its power to return the situation to normalcy within the earliest time possible. Cabinet also urged all Kenyans to prioritize safety during their travel in this period, as well as at their homes and workplaces. All Kenyans should exercise patience and caution while traveling, wait for storm waters to subside before attempting to cross roads, report any instances of flooding or landslides to the authorities, and strictly follow all guidelines issued by government. Thank you very much. I'll take a few questions.